Aloha, and welcome to this week's edition of More Football, Please, available in Spanish in select areas. First off, War Daddy Buck You versus the Silent Assassins. For War Daddy Buck You, I think you got the waiver wire pickup of the week. Yet again, you did well with Travis Benjamin. Now you picked up Stefon Diggs. Let's see how effective he will be. Right now, he looks to be the number one receiver out there in Minnesota. Bridgewater's not a bad quarterback at all. So if Stefon Diggs can keep up this stellar play, then you're going to have a great rookie on your roster who can help you out a lot in that department. And I'm going to stay with War Daddy Buck You for the defensive game breaker. He's on your bench, which I think you should probably start him. Allen Bailey. He's up against Pitt. He's a great defensive end for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Pittsburgh has had trouble protecting their quarterback. So, especially with the Chiefs and the type of blitzes they run, they're very effective at getting to the quarterback. I believe that he will have a big game. So, maybe consider starting him. Just a shot. For the Silent Assassins, I don't have anyone for you right now, Christian. We talked a little bit on the phone today. I was able to express that you need to pay a little bit more attention to the league, at least set your lineups. I know that you by far have the most injuries, 2 key players on your team. I hope that you set your lineup at least, and at this point, I think you can almost just want to, start preparing for next year. Maybe trading away some of your older guys. I know you have Fitzgerald on your roster, who could be a, good trade bait for a team that's trying to make the playoffs. And you can get some younger guys from that to help you out, for next year. But we'll see. I'm pretty sure the whole league's just going to be keeping an eye on your team, dude. So at least set your roster if you don't want to, deal with all the trades or whatever you have to do to help that team out. As it stands right now, War Daddy Buck You's got the hot hand. I believe they lost last week because they had a lot of players on bye. He has a lot of Buccaneer players, and they were all on bye. So, War Daddy Buck You with the win the way it stands now. Hopefully, Christian, you're able to help your team out a little bit more. For the next game, Team Opium versus the Ben Gomez's. For Team Opium, Delanie Walker, tight end for the Tennessee Titans, up against the Atlanta Falcons, who could not cover Benjamin Watson for some fucking reason last week, as he torched the Falcons. Delanie Walker is a much better tight end than Benjamin Watson, which is alarming. Hopefully the Falcons can play him better, but if the story holds true, Falcons can't cover tight ends. So in comes Delanie Walker, probably the best receiver they have out there at this point. He could have a huge game. He probably will have a huge game, but we'll see. I'm not going to leave that game for you, Cody. Devontae Freeman. It's kind of like no shit, Sherlock. He's going to have a big game, but I expect... I'm gonna be very, very honest with you. I expect 40 plus points this game from Devontae Freeman, and I'm gonna tell you why. The Tennessee Titans last week faced Lamar Miller. Now Lamar Miller, granted that whole thing going on with Miami, new coach, new attitude, yada yada yada, whatever. Lamar Miller has been playing like crap before that. In come the Falcons, who have to rely on Devontae Freeman to really, really move the ball, with Julio Jones dealing with all of his injuries and the other receivers just not really showing up to play. Devontae Freeman, I think, will explode this week versus the Tennessee Titan defense that allowed Lamar Miller to run silly on them. So, big week in store for Devontae. I hope so, at least. We will see. Team Opium, Navarro Bowman is really flexing it out there, getting solid fantasy points for a linebacker. said it last week. I love all your linebackers, but this guy is one of my favorite backers in the league. I'm upset that you were able to draft him before me, but he has to take off if they want to beat Seattle. Seattle likes to run the ball a lot. Navarro can take Marshawn one-on-one. He's one of the few backers that could actually do that consistently. So I believe I'll have a good week for you. For the Ben Gomez's, Ezekiel Ansah. I'm sure I've had him as my game breaker at one point in the year, but he's a boom or bust player for you. It's got to be a boom for you if you want to have a good defensive outing this week. Last time he played against Minnesota, it was a big boom. I believe his best fantasy game of the year. So we'll see if he can repeat that performance against a division rival. I'm going to go with the Ben Gomez's because I found the loophole. Cody's blood magic does not work against Trent because Cody had to sacrifice an ant. Now, Trent shares blood with Cody. Therefore, the blood magic can't work on Trent. Kyle remains to be seen. That was a close game. So perhaps Trent holds the key to defeating Cody. Cody, you can't practice magic outside of school. Filthy mudblood. Next game. The Abdullah Express versus Taco Corp. For the Abdullah Express, Martavius Bryant had an amazing week for you last week with the third string quarterback in there. That's unbelievable. I'm sure you cannot be happier with that. Held on to him for a long time until you finally got to use him. So kudos to weathering out the storm. They're up against Kansas City. Kansas City doesn't let you run the ball very much against them. So it's going to come down to Martavius Bryant. Will he have another big game? I believe so. Will it be a 30-plus point game? Probably not, but he is young, so we have yet to see the best from him. Maybe he could, just explode and take off. We will see. He will have a good week, though, I believe. Taco Corp, boy Stafford, had a great week last week. I believe 33 points. And I just want to leave you with this little fun fact about Stafford. Prior to last week, his best fantasy game was against the Minnesota Vikings week 2. He threw for 286 yards and 2 touchdowns. And guess who's up against week 7? The Minnesota Vikings. So we'll have a good game. For the Abdullah Express on defense, Derek Morgan, defensive end linebacker for the Tennessee Titans. Georgia Tech prospect. Falcons offensive line absolutely crumbled to the Saints, and Derek Morgan is a blitzer. So him, along with like Jarrell Casey, they'll probably wreak havoc on Ryan a few times. I believe he'll have a big game. I believe he'll get you some solid points. So we will see. Next up, for Brendan, Rashad Jones. I didn't realize how great of a year he's having simply because I did not know this guy existed. I don't know where you found this guy, but he's an amazing, amazing fantasy player. I believe his lowest point outage was like 11 points. Just sick. Up against Houston. Houston's quarterback situation, I think, is finally starting to settle out. Hoyer's looking to be the starter now. Pretty solid, but, it's Hoyer at the end of the day. He'll make a few mistakes. Miami's got this new attitude that they're supposedly playing with, so I expect him to have a good game. I have the Abdullah Express winning this game. Brendan, you have the same record as Christian. You need to seriously have a pep talk with your team. Sit them down, explain what you want out of this year. You need to be a head coach at this point. Pull out your inner Dabo. The Abdullah Express beat the hottest team in the league, and sure, we're all in a tough division, that Celadon City division, and Trent, Kyle, and I, we're all just in the middle of that pack right now, just fighting. And he's looking for a win, so I believe he might be able to get it, Brendan. You gotta keep on fighting. You gotta keep on setting that lineup right and doing your shit. Next one, the Bold City Tigers versus the team up north. For the Bold City Tigers, Jamison Crowder has actually been doing pretty well for you. Getting a solid amount of targets each game. I believe ESPN said it was like 8 the past 3 or 4 weeks, which is good. But he has not found the end zone. If he is able to find the end zone, that's going to help you out tremendously because he's putting up solid numbers. So, here's the hoping he gets into the end zone for you and helps you out a good bit. For the team up north, Blake Bortles. Now, I love trashing on the Jaguars, but I'm going to try my best to refrain from doing that because Bortles is kind of making me eat my words a little bit. Stat-wise, he's doing great. I'm going to only argue that it was against the Buccaneers and the Houston Texans, and they were mostly garbage time stats. I say that because, you're down by 14 in the fourth quarter, and everyone's expecting you just to throw the ball. So you get all those extra throws, all those extra yards, all those extra points. And the fact that they've been losing all those games, I think, speaks more about Jacksonville than Blake Bortles. But they're up against Buffalo this week. Buffalo has a good defense. They've been slipping, though. They haven't been playing like how they looked in the beginning of the year. So I'm sure that they expect to win the Buffalo Bills. It's in London. Maybe the Jaguars' future home. But we'll see if Blake Bortles can get you some points. Maybe some more garbage time stats will help you out. I don't really see Jacksonville winning this game, especially the way that they've been playing. For the team up north, for your defensive player, Michael Bennett, I believe he's going to have a good game against the 49ers. He's a sack monster. Kaepernick is a sack magnet. So I believe a few sacks, division opponent, prime time. Hopefully he helps you out, get you a few sacks. For the Bold City Tigers, you don't have a defensive game breaker from me. You have a punter game breaker. And that is Cameron. Please start a punter this week. You won last week without a one, but that doesn't mean you don't need one. So please put a punter in your lineup. That could be an easy 5+ points, which could help you out a lot. You never know. My winner for this game, just the way it is right now, it's kind of a toss-up, honestly. This was a really tough one to pick. I'm going to go the team up north because high point outages. But I don't know. Man, lots of buys for the team up north. And so you have a lot of, kind of waiver wire pickups starting for you. I believe you have like 2 Buffalo receivers in your flexes, which isn't really a good idea, dude, in my opinion. But if the Bold City Tigers make the correct choices, it could be switched the other way. But as it stands right now, I'll go the team up north. For the final game, Team Reno versus Giovanni's Rockets. For Team Reno, Chris Ivory has been, a force this year. He debatably could be the number 1 running back. Well, number 2. I don't think anyone's going to match what Devontae Freeman's been doing. But with, I believe that he was injured week 2 and didn't play at all week 3. And he's still like the 5th ranked running back as far as points go. And they've already had their bye. So Chris Ivory's been having a really, really good year. But they're up against New England, division opponent. New England's been looking solid. Let's see if he can move the pile, get some points for you. For myself, it's Melvin Gordon. You fumble the ball twice, pull a Jeremy Hill on me, just get kicked out of the game. He's got to step up at some point. He hasn't got a touchdown yet. He's a project for sure. It's kind of hard to drop him. It's even kind of hard to trade him because of all the upside. I've watched him play a few times this year, and I'm really impressed with like what I see from him. I'm just not impressed at all with the Chargers' offensive line. I believe they've already had like some ridiculous amount of like new starters this year alone. Can't really find consistency up there, so a running back can't really get anything going, especially a rookie like that. It's definitely not Woodhead's show. They, I believe that Trent, a couple weeks ago, said that San Diego is a pass first team, and I will agree with that. But let us not forget this is the same team that had LaDainian Tomlinson, Michael Turner, and Darren Sproles in that backfield. So they definitely have a history of getting good running backs and using them well. I believe that Melvin Gordon will pick up once that offensive line situation gets figured out. And I think that he is hungry. He wants to get out there and play, especially after the bad week he had last week. I don't expect much, though, but hopefully it's better than what he did. For Team Reno, DeQuell Jackson. I have no idea why in the world you thought it was a good idea to trade him. He's the number one linebacker fantasy-wise, and he's a beast. It just made no sense. I still stand by what I said about that last trade. They got vetoed. Anyway, DeQuell Jackson is a beast. He's going to do well again. He's going to do well every single week for you. If you want to trade him, at least like kind of value what he is. He's an amazing linebacker, a veteran too. For myself, it's Earl Thomas. Starting him this week because I want to bench William Moore, strong safety for the Falcons, because I have a history of benching Falcon players and then they explode on my bench, and I want that to happen because the Falcons need to step it up and stop that tight end, and Moore usually covers the tight ends, so I'm hoping that benching him will jinx me and have him play better so the Falcons will get that win. Of course, I don't have a prediction. And that's it for my podcast. Thanks, guys. Go Falcons. Can't find my button.